So, Lily Orchard, a YouTuber who commentates mostly about animated media, made a video a couple months back called Mary Sue's Are Fun, Actually. Yeah, I know. Spoiler alert, the video wasn't very convincing.
Really? A Lily Orchard video didn't convince you? I'm shocked. Shocked. Well, not that shocked.
Periodic Pete, everybody. How did you get here?
Muffin button?
Yeah, it checks out. Anyway, expecting Lily's videos to be convincing is like expecting Capcom to make new Mega Man games. It just doesn't hurt as much. So now we're going to break down why. But before that, let's set a couple house rules for the folks at home. See, Lily is very confrontational. I know, glass houses, but I'm serious. The lady is as tactful as a colony drop. Unfortunately for her, there's a difference between being brutally honest and demeaning people you disagree with for no reason. And Lily has a whole lot of the latter. Lots of poisoning the well and fighting off arguments no one is making.
This here is our bad faith jar. Anytime we catch good old Lily dropping some poison in the well, shadowboxing, or being a general fraud, we're gonna take note of it. So grab your drinks if you want to make this spicy. But since we're talking about the Mary Sue, a trope that so many people have already misconstrued, Kaiser, mind filling me in on what her definition of the Mary Sue is?
That's tricky because most of her video isn't even on her proper definition. Basically, throughout the video, Lily cycles through two different definitions. There's her definition, the Lily Sue as I like to call it, and a definition that lives in the demons in her head, the Straw Sue.
Are either of them correct?
I don't want to answer that yet. Let's just get started.
The hardest part of making some of these videos is trying to take something that's very, very stupid, even somewhat seriously.
Sheesh, Lily is real quick with that mercury, isn't she? Just poisoning that well like nobody's business. We're off to a great start.
See, crafting an argument for why X character isn't a Mary Sue or a girl boss takes a long time, and in that time that yokel has moved on to another target to just be wrong about.
Lily, the reason why it takes a long time to explain why a character isn't a Sue, or even why they are one, is because everyone keeps changing the definition to the point it's become useless. Case in point, your video.
And even then, that's kinda how media discussion works. Arguing whether or not a story fits a harmful trope is going to take a while whether or not we share the same definition. Welcome to media analysis, Lily. We brought blackjacks, hookers, and most importantly, disagreements. How is this any different from arguing that Steven Universe is bad, for example, or that it's employing some negative writing tropes that you find encourageable? This is not unique to talking about Mary Sue's. You're just salty you have to put on your big girl pants and actually argue about it.
Mary Sue discourse is older than the internet, and unlike a lot of stupid things the internet has latched onto in recent years, it took a lot longer for people to realize it was a stupid argument for cranky little bitches who can't have fun.
I don't know about that, lady. Might want to update your search history.
But now people are catching wise to the notion that Mary Sue is jargon, and so dickheads need a new word for woman bad, and they saw a few online left YouTubers making vague gargle sounds about girl boss and said, "That'll work."
Hey, Kaiser, can you tell me who coined the Mary Sue trope originally?
Oh yeah, Paula Smith.
Don't you mean Paul Smith? 'Cause surely one of the most notoriously sexist tropes in writing couldn't have possibly been written by a woman, can it?
Well, if you think that, then Lily's not the only one who doesn't know her history. The term has existed for way longer than 20 years. Shit, the thing predates Gundam, if you could believe it.
Blasphemy against our Lord and Savior Jesus Yamato.
You haven't even seen Gundam Seed. Which is good, by the way, don't change that, but anyway. This lady, Paula Smith, was simply making fun of an extremely common and honestly tired trope that people wrote in their fanfiction at the time. Of course, the term has been searched way more nowadays, partially due to fanfic writers becoming writers in the industry. Like all words brought into the public lexicon, it can be used for good and evil. You can become a god or a devil, based or sexist. But to say the term is inherently sexist or bad faith is not only dishonest, but fucking wrong. Given how there are many videos, some gaining millions of views, that gave definitions for what a Mary Sue is without dipping into sexism. These are some of the biggest creators on the platform. Yet somehow, fandom brain Lily Orchard managed to miss them all. Curious.
And there it went. Girl boss became the new word for Mary Sue's because of misogynistic little bitches stealing bad rhetoric from political YouTubers.
Look, not a big fan of Shadversity myself, but you're really not doing your arguments any favors when you don't show any footage of the term being used frequently, much less incorrectly. You only show the thumbnails, and of those thumbnails, only 2 look like they'd even mention girl boss as a term in the video, and 3, you can't find any more examples than a single YouTuber.
It don't make no motherfucking sense.
But since you clearly can't do your own homework, I'll do it for you. I watched these videos, don't worry, I'm still sane, and you're clearly misrepresenting at least 2 of them. The Spider-Verse and Writer Strike videos don't mention Mary Sue's or Girl Boss at all, not even in the transcripts, not even in their thumbnails or titles of their videos. But you know what? I would have let this shit slide if you at least had more than one example of some dickhead who can potentially be using the term in some weird culture war sense. Hell, his Barbie video didn't even use the girl boss label at all. He did accuse the film of being feminist propaganda, which isn't much better, but at least he didn't use the Mary Sue concept as a cudgel. Her examples aren't even fitting with what she is talking about.
We understand that many female-made or led media tend to be on the back foot regarding audience reception. There is a historical precedent for that. And there's no doubt that people with certain political views have a clear axe to grind. But from where I'm sitting, while I'm not against calling out these people, they are far from the only people in this conversation. The table's a lot bigger than you think, Lily.
Now, the thing about Mary Sue's is that its origins have always been bad faith. It originates from fanfiction communities, and while it has different definitions and criteria based on the year, fandom, and how much of an irrational dickweed the litmus test maker is at any given moment, the only consistent trait is outshining the canon characters, being too prominent, and hogging screen time.
OC's taking screen time from canon characters in fanfiction can potentially be problematic in different scenarios, and I assure you it wouldn't matter if that character could pee standing up. No sexism required. Here's the kicker though. When Lily said that people were overzealous in their hatred for Mary Sue's and harassed people for writing them in their fanfiction for fun, I actually believe her?
What did you say? Maverick!
Alright, keep your pants on, people. It's not because of the evidence Lily showed. It's because of an hour-long video reviewing the same topic that actually did its due diligence in showing screenshots and evidence that this actually happened. Someone else had to do Lily's job for her so that I could believe that this was ever a widespread issue. I'm not even asking for Lily to go into as much detail, just throw me a friggin' bone here. Besides, you're still talking about fan content. We are talking about blockbuster movies made by billionaires we're supposed to take seriously. One of these things is not like the other, Lillian. Newsflash, Spider-Verse came out a couple years ago. It featured Miles getting more screen time than Peter, and no one complained. Sony literally did what TLJ wanted to do with Ray and Luke, but just better. This is patched TLJ, and Shad and his audience and his squad gave it a round of applause. It's almost like people recognize good writing. It's almost like the people who dislike Mary Sue's aren't the same as those who called your edgy OC cringe back in 2005.
This certainly makes the complaint sound a lot less objective and intellectual than years of opining would have had a bunch of teenagers believe, wouldn't it?
Well, that's pretty easy to do, Lily. Your boxing partner's a pile of straw.
It's at the center of why this discourse crept into critique of actual media, because this is a fanfiction term to describe a uniquely fanfiction issue.
Uniquely fanfiction issue. The Mary Sue, as a problem, is exclusive to fanfiction?
Bullshit.
I think it's time we talk about what the actual trope of a Mary Sue is. For those of you who don't want to watch my two-parter where I broke down the trope, link in the description, Mary Sue is a character who is favored by the plot to a degree that breaks the narrative as a direct result of that favoritism.
The most known attribute is being overpowered. In this version, Mulan was basically born with superhuman powers called Chi. This allows her to do shit like snipe people over miles and miles away just by kicking a spear in the air. These abilities of hers not only push her above her peers, but make it so that all the other characters are practically useless, making the story less inclined to have them share any compelling interactions, or God forbid, have the character herself struggle. So, what's the point of this being an action set in a war without tension?
Another attribute of a Sue is that they are loved ostensibly by everyone, especially when it's unearned. In WandaVision, Wanda Maximoff enslaves an entire town just to live out her fantasies as a way to cope with her grief over Vision's death. And the story paints her as though she's the real victim here, not the people who she's tortured. She knows what she's doing to these people. She not only excuses it, but the story does as well.
They'll never know what you sacrificed for them.
It wouldn't change how they see me.
Yeah, you can't really know what someone has sacrificed if they didn't sacrifice anything at all. Just saying. The problem with this, in case it isn't already obvious, is that it shows the story isn't going to treat the character's mistake with the gravity they deserve. This makes it hard for us to gauge the consequences of those mistakes, and it confuses the narrative when there are other characters that obviously wouldn't approve of this character's behavior.
Oh, I don't care if it's mean. Everybody's got dead people. It's no excuse to get everybody else dead along the way.
And third, probably the most important factor of the Mary Sue is this: they bend and break the rules of the world to their favor. The previous two attributes can work in the story. You got a character who's more powerful than the rest? Give them internal struggles their powers can't fix. You have a character who's beloved by most and barely makes mistakes? Come up with problems their charisma can't solve. You cannot, I repeat, you cannot have a good protagonist whose plot is written for them instead of the other way around. At least not one that you can take seriously.
Enter Korra. God, what doesn't break in half from this chick? You have her mastering all the elements faster than Aang or even Roku, mastering the Avatar state practically off screen, something that even Aang never did in his story. Apparently, for some reason, she picked up metal bending before Aang ever considered it, even though Aang had learned seismic sense while Korra never did, which is necessary to metal bend, by the way, but I guess we're gonna forget that too. She didn't even learn energy bending because Aang just learned it to her, even though implying that it's possible for past lives to teach the current Avatar how to bend kind of breaks the whole concept of traveling the world to learn the elements when they could just talk to their past lives. The Avatar state and how it works completely changes so that she can just keep being the Avatar after Season 2. Instead of being the culmination of all past lives and their knowledge focused through her body, it's just Rava and the Rug state. Hell, the story would rather retroactively make Aang a terrible father than address the myriad of mistakes that Korra has made by the end of the series. I don't think anything else needs to be said. The greatest lie in discussions about the Mary Sue trope is that it's a character trope when it's a narrative one. The story makes them so much more powerful, the story makes them beloved, the story makes them perfect. Things outside of the Sue, like the characters, setting rules, and plot events, will bend to their benefit. The problem is the favoritism shown by the story, not just the favoritism they have as characters.
Favoritism's the disease. Mary Sue, that's just a symptom. There are many people throughout YouTube and other online spaces, many of which dwarfs Shad's audience, who came to very similar conclusions. They're also the furthest thing from right-wing fearmongers.
But what is a Mary Sue? Is it a self-insert character? No, I mean, a lot of self-insert characters can be non-Mary Sues. Is it a character who's powerful? I would also disagree, because I've never heard someone call fucking Broly a Mary Sue. Does it have to be a woman? I also disagree, because you have people like Kirito who are absolutely god-tier Gary Stews.
They say write what you know, and almost everyone knows themselves better than anyone else. So just put yourself into the story. Some might worry that they will make for a poor protagonist. Fear not. That's just because we need to get rid of the one thing that makes audiences not identify with the character. Flaws. Yes, just scrub all of your flaws away and make your protagonist an idealized version of yourself.
A Mary Sue is usually a female character but can be male, and they're an idealized version of the author. They're usually attractive, have a cool name, and they're smarter than anyone, skilled and talented in whatever happens in the story, and sometimes have powers that defy the canon rules. They're usually perfect, with no character flaws or flaws that make them cute or lovable. They usually have some ridiculous or hidden backstory, and all the good characters like and accept them without much, if any, question, while all the bad characters, or the ones we're meant to think are bad, instantly hate them.
No matter the skin, the Mary Sue makes the story boring around them. It's not something that exists on the level of a character trait, but on the story level. It's how the plot flows around them. The error is that the author starts from the premise that this character is by default the best character, and that's the problem. Anytime the writer is too busy squeeing over a character to establish why we should care about them, it ends up feeling a little too self-congratulatory. But the problem doesn't stop there. The Mary Sue distorts the world around them, changing the way characters act and reality works to put the focus on them. The Mary Sue is the center of attention at the expense of basically everything else.
Shut the fuck up, no one cares. Know your fucking place, trash.
You're stupid!
Of course, our definition is slightly different and much less lenient than many people's examples of what Mary Sues are. For example, Just a Robot believes that Superman is, one of the good ones. I say that he needs his software fixed before he turns Maverick. A good Mary Sue is no Mary Sue at all, and last I checked, good Superman stories don't unreasonably favor Clark. Regardless though, all of these YouTubers follow the same themes, which makes sense. For most people, most stories are entertaining when there's even the illusion of risk. If there's even a slim chance the characters can fail, or if their relationships can falter. A writer with vision challenges their characters. They put limits to their strengths, confronts their choices, or make them imperfect. But how can that be if the character is perfect? This is why a Mary Sue character, or someone close to it, doesn't work outside of parody, comedy, or dumb fun action. It's cancer to everything else.
See, to hear people talk, the idea of a character being hyper-competent, always right, and who just kicks all kinds of ass is just objectively bad writing because good characters struggle and earn everything and yada yada yakety schmackety. And that's bullshit, and I know that's bullshit, and you know that's bullshit because hyper-competent Mary Sues are fucking fun.
And we finally made it. We finally got to the Lily Sue. Let me spell it out for you people. A Mary Sue, in Lily's mind, is a hyper-confident, super capable character who chews ass and kicks bubblegum to any degree. And that's okay, because most characters are basically cool action figures. Yeah, do you see the problem here? Oh, and if you think that's bad, wait until you see our examples, people.
Really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Wait, hold on. You can't really believe that John McClane is hyper-competent with the number of times that he nearly dies in that—
Turn off the light show and prove to me you can beat me without—
Oh, you can't even use Captain Marvel as an example when the consensus around her movie— Darth Vader? He's an antagonist. Of course he's gonna be hyper-competent. That's the point. If he wasn't hyper-competent, then there wouldn't be a You can't use video games as an example because the video game challenges the player, and if they succeed, then they just— Indiana Jones loses in most of the movie. His intro is him losing the—
Satellite hijacking, attempted murder, terrorism, and oh yes, speeding.
No, god
Pete.
damn it, you are not going to tell me that Superman is a Mary Sue.
Pete, stop right there. Cut the O2. She's clearly drinking cactus juice right now.
I need to make a video about this.
Look, maybe later, but we got bigger fish to fry. The real problem is that Lily is creating a false dichotomy. To her, a story is either John Wick or Star Trek with no wiggle room in between. At least that's what her statements indicate. But plenty of stories, even those with overpowered or hyper-competent characters, can both be spectacle and narratively compelling. Both are possible in the same story. You just gotta do it right. And unfortunately, stuff like the sequel trilogy of Star Wars and Captain Marvel never truly did. But look at me, I'm trying to reason someone out of their dopamine addiction. Sorry about that.
Sure, these stories aren't particularly deep or meaningful, but most stories aren't.
Then why are you showing examples when they are clearly not just dumb fun action movies? Neither Captain Marvel nor the Star Wars sequels were meant to be dumb fun action movies. These are stories with plots that attempt to tell a meaningful story featuring their main characters. In fact, Lily, didn't you raise a bitch fit over Sylvanas Windrunner's character being ruined or some shit a couple years ago? Didn't your girlfriend make the umpteenth video about how Blizzard ruined her 2 years ago?
Congratulations, you played yourself.
If the story isn't meaningful, then why should you or anyone give a shit? Why do you value continuity, consistency, and stakes when they benefit your point but ignore the same argumentation applied to the concept of a Mary Sue? Especially when, by our definition, Sylvanas is the furthest thing from it from what your testimony says, but let's not talk about that. Sure, not everything is trying to be Shakespeare, but that doesn't mean they're trying to be Steven Seagal. There's a realm where a good story with moderate depth can be found. That's what Superman is. That's what Indiana Jones was. That's what Spider-Verse is. And that's what Marvel and Disney used to make before making this garbage. So as critics, don't you think we should judge them the way that they are?
When you hear about what the writers and directors of Captain Marvel had to say about the movie, can you honestly say they intended it to be some Clint Eastwood movie with tits? No. They talk about how meaningful it is, how it's going to inspire young girls to do what Carol did. You know, thrash the patriarchy and all that shit. That's what all the fans of the characters talk about. That's what was in the trailer. And that's not even getting into how many people tried to defend Rey's character, making it seem like she has more under the hood than she actually does. So either you're sipping that Coca-Cola, or they are. Smart Money says both, but feel free to pick your poison.
Watching someone cathartically destroy someone will never not be fun.
I don't believe you. I don't believe there has never been a time when you witnessed one character get destroyed by another and you didn't find it fun. If this character, Sylvanas, or whoever she is, was completely destroyed in this fight instead of the other way around, I don't get the impression you'd have the same reaction. In fact, I would argue that'd be an improvement to most of the actual Mary Sues you've listed. Because when we see that powerful characters aren't as powerful as they are, it shows they are vulnerable to antagonists and consequences of the universe, and that creates tension. That creates conflict. It shows that we can't just predict the outcome of every fight before it's even started, and it gives us something to root for and be invested in. Almost like those struggles are what make journeys worth the investment at all.
Yeah, so shove that schmackety in your yakety, Lily. Most people tend to disagree with you on this, and it's not because of sexism. It's because when a story is trying to take itself seriously, but has a demigod that can do no wrong in the driver's seat, it kinda gets boring, whether your name is Mary or Gary. Like, Lily, I know you don't exactly give props to anime that often, but what rock were you under when the entire internet collectively bullied Kirito from Sword Art Online? And can I join you?
Kaiser, she wasn't under a rock. She was on a rock. The fourth one from the sun.
No wonder she's out of touch. Literally everyone hates this character and others like him for being Gary Stews. But how can that be when he's got a working boomstick? Gee, it's almost like people are operating under a definition that isn't just women are bad, okay? No, women are bad. In no short order, Jesus-kun's exploits include becoming a genius-level programmer at the age of 14, at most. Basically, he is the best player in every game he plays, to the point of superhuman reflexes by the narrative's admission. Has all the women pining after him, including his cousin, able to hack into a complex AI in the span of like 20 seconds, probably less, can block bullets because he practices fucking kendo, never loses a major fight of any consequence, and willed himself into living when he was killed in a death game. Here's the thing though. The story tries to give some depth to Mr. Not Black Swordsman over here. At several points, even from the show's start, the story tries to make Kirito an actual character.
Not only that, but the story is couched on this exploration of human connection through the virtual world and the internet. But these themes get fucked sideways the moment Kirito steps into any danger. It tries to be both an exploration of these ideas while being the most blatant power fantasy imaginable. match made in hell, really. Not only is it boring because Kirito literally cuts away the tension with every swing of his sword, but the story is also frustrating because it tries its absolute damnedest to make you take it seriously.
Yeah, surprise, surprise, the Sues aren't well-developed characters either. I mean, how could they be? They are in stories where they don't belong. Unfortunately, he's not the only one. These dickheads are so bad, they oversaturate an entire subgenre of anime and light novels, which is the isekai genre, to the point where it legitimately ruined a lot of people's investment in the subgenre in general, even when it actually tries to go in different directions. And if you weren't so busy molding at Shad, Lily, you would find many people who have spent ages complaining about exactly that, arguably for too long, but that's besides the point. Not to say that Gary Sues get talked about more than Mary Sues. Hell, I'm willing to bet that some amount of the hate that Mary Sues get is partially due to sexism. But to say that it's all sexism or that the trope can't be negative is just
bullshit, folks. It's all bullshit and it's bad for you.
But now we live in Darkest Timeline 2023, where not only are you going to have a greasy bearded fuck yelling about how this is somehow an infection of society, you'll also get an equally greasy bearded fuck yelling about how this is capitalism polluting feminism.
Whoever you are, ladies and gentlemen watching, thank you, by the way, for coming this far. But this is before we are even recording the full video. This part perplexed us so much we have to actually do this shit live because we have no idea how to say this in a proper script because this is so incomprehensible. So this is like 7 minutes and 50 seconds into the video, and Lily says this. Go ahead, play it.
Yeah. So far we have her arguing against two straw men who she doesn't want to cite. So two sweaty greasy bearded fucks. Her words, not mine. Yeah. Women can be greasy bearded fucks too.
Yeah,
it's possible. So she's talking about one of them saying that. Well, hold on. It was one of them saying how the Mary Sue trope is an
infection on society.
Is capitalism polluting?
And also, like Mary Sue's are representative of capitalism polluting feminism, and she's focusing in on that second one here.
Yeah, that second one is the one that she's talking about here, and I want to be specific with that because things are about to go to shit really quickly, and like we got to make sure we understand what terms Lily's talking about because it's gonna get. It's gonna go all over the place in a bit.
Post-capitalist society, there would be less girl boss movies. There would probably be more without big studios getting cranky about making movies for and by women. People often forget this, but it's the big studios that keep pushing white men as the default majority. Without the studios keeping their hands on the scales, you'd see more of that thing you hate, not less, you joyless little bitch.
Yeah, okay. So here we go.
What have we learned today?
Yeah, what have we learned today? Don't watch Lily Orchard. Don't invest in Lily Orchard, kids. Buy low, sell high. She's arguing to this person that is saying that the Mary Sue is capitalism polluting feminism, would be mad that without the big studios pushing for the default white majority, they would see more non-white led and made movies about non-white male characters written and directed by non-white male people, and thus
vis-a-vis macaroni and cheese.
Procto ad hominem, macaroni and cheese.
Hakuna Matata. Expecto Patronum.
Wingardium Leviosa. She is saying that. God, I'm so caught up in the joke, I didn't get. Cut that out. That. And again, this is what confuses me. So she is arguing against someone who apparently thinks
she's trying to say that she is accusing the person she's arguing against for being for the status quo by arguing that that Mary Sue's represent capitalism infecting feminism. Lily is arguing back that in a capitalist society there would be more without any of like the legal and systemic things keeping women and other minorities back from making these movies, there would be more of the thing that these people hate. Now,
but the thing is, the thing that she is saying that these people hate, and again, you gotta remember, because like that would make sense until you realize the straw man that she's arguing against. The person who she's arguing against is someone who is saying, according to her, that capitalism is polluting feminism. But here's the thing: if the person,
they're pro-feminist,
yeah,
not
exactly.
capitalists.
So, exactly. So, like, if according to her, the person who believes that capitalism is that like the Mary Sue is capitalism polluting feminism, is also the person who wants to see fewer minorities and directing and in films. Like, what?
Yeah,
why does she think that the person who like is concerned?
This goes back to the straw Sue. This goes back to the straw Sue, right?
Yes.
Because remember, Lily supposedly doesn't know the actual definition of a Mary Sue. She thinks that these people believe that Mary Sues are just any like diverse, super competent character that they don't like. So she's implicitly basically calling them racist and sexist. So by saying that these supposed racist and sexist hate these kinds of characters in these movies, and that's what a Mary Sue is, she is trying to state, well, she's basically pulling the holes, well, that's too damn bad, and saying that, like, in a capitalist society, guess what? There'd be more of them, so suck it up, bitch. Which, I guess is not a bad point. It's told shittily, but most importantly, as we'll probably be saying throughout the video, that this is not the definition that people fucking use. This isn't what this isn't even what most people are implicitly saying. There is no implication that people feel this way. This is stupid.
I think it's still. I still can't move past the fact that
this is wrapped in so many layers. There is layer upon layer upon layer of misunderstanding the conversation. This is a straw man wrapped in an ad hom, sautéed in a fucking in a completely misinterpreted version of what a Mary Sue is in the public lexicon.
In the middle of a shadowboxing ring.
Yes!
All happening in front of a live audience. In the middle of the shadowboxing ring. And, like, again, so, in a post-cap... And, like, that's the thing, too, is, like, trying to understand
she's arguing
who
against,
she's arguing...
They're already anti-capitalists. So they wouldn't give a fuck if in a post-cap... If anything, this is the problem that they're stating. You're losing. You made up. You're fighting demons. You made this demon up in your head, and you put the boxing gloves on. You put on your freaking your jersey and shit, and you are wailing at them in the boxing ring, and you're fucking losing to your imagination, lady. What the fuck?
Well, that's the thing, though, is that she didn't say capitalist society. She said post-capitalist society.
Is there a meaningful
whatever the hell that is?
Is there a meaningful difference?
Well, Kaiser, let's find out, don't we? So I'm going to Google post-capitalist society. Post-capitalism is a part of a hypothetical state in which the economic systems of the world can no longer be described as forms of capitalism. Various individuals and political ideologies have speculated on what would define such a word. According to classical Marxist and socio-evolutional theories, post-capitalist societies may come about as a result of... Why the fuck am I reading what a post-capitalist society is in a Lily Orchard video about Mary... I can't. No, I'm done. No.
Well, I have to do the rest of the video myself, it seems like, so... actually, no, I don't...
And this is the main crux of this week's terrible thesis. We need to Mary Sue harder.
How about new?
Okay. So, to be charitable, I know, first mistake, but stay with me here, let's say that Lily is technically correct. As we said before, Mary Sue characters work fine in stories that don't take themselves seriously. Take your Clint Eastwood movies or harem anime.
The whole point of those stories is to be a spectacle, a cheap laugh, or just simple pleasure. That is absolutely fine. Enjoy it. The world is your oyster. We don't want to demean anyone for simply enjoying content that isn't very challenging. Otherwise, we'd be pretty guilty of that ourselves.
But Star Wars, with all its fantastical bullshit obvious, never was just some dumb fun action story, and neither was Captain Marvel. They got cool, spectacular elements, but they also have stories to tell.
Rey's character isn't bland because she was made to appeal to quote-unquote woke scolds. Her character is bland because she was made to appeal to them.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
That's the attitude that's pissing people off!
Who the fuck asked for serious character work in an action movie?
I want to stop you right there, Lily. You said something in which serious character work does not belong.
Action movie.
It was 2 words. And I want you to think about the second of those 2 words. A movie has a story. And what are at the center of all stories without exception? Characters. And you think serious character work doesn't belong in a medium that is built on character work. I don't even know what to say next.
I mean, far be it from me to expect anything from Lily, but it's hard to believe even she's this dumb. Ignoring blatant aspects of the conversation, easily debunked examples, molding over assholes from the early 2000s, you'd have to be this stupid on purpose.
What if she is?
Dumb as fuck?
Yes. Well, no. I mean, yeah, but that she's doing this on purpose.
Break it down for me.
Think about it. Doesn't this sound like some script that someone like Lily would half-ass in an hour or 2 just to vent about some rando on the internet saying something that rubbed her the wrong way? Or something just ticked her off and she haphazardly threw together a script without any level of thought because she was just that upset?
Kinda, but I don't know, man. It takes a lot for even me to call someone a liar publicly. What you got?
She cites a single YouTuber to support her claims about a social trend among many, many people without even showing clips of the videos she's using as evidence to make her point. Plus, she claims ignorance to so many obvious things that disprove her arguments, such as the history of the Mary Sue and how the trope was coined, the vast majority of male Mary Sues that appear in Japanese media like Kirito and Kira Yamato, the plethora of other Mary Sue videos on the website that counter her own, including overly sarcastic productions who I do not believe she isn't subscribed to, and the bottomless list of strong female characters people don't think are Mary Sues, which dwarfs the list that are several times over.
Well, that would explain the blatant shadowboxing. Hell, even for Lily, starring this much shit is above her pay grade.
She breaks a guy's hand and robs him when he tells her to smile. It's fucking great.
Take it!
What, no smile?
On the other hand, though, I don't know, man. She said dumber for less before. Her being ignorant is one thing. We've proven that enough. But what we need is evidence that leaves even a hint of doubt that she's just that dumb, and... Hey, what did my lawyer sent me? Oh my god.
How the fuck can you say that you have never heard non-sexist Mary Sue arguments yet acknowledge that Gary Stew is a term at the same time? This argument is so dumb. What is the meaning of this? This can't be happening. What am I fighting for?
I have never been baited so hard before in my life. Yeah, this chick's a liar.
Look on the bright side, Kaiser. If this is bait, at least not many others fell for it.
Huh, put in all that effort to rage bait for no big channel to take it. Karma's a bitch, ain't it? Anyways, I think we should wrap things up, right, Pete? Pete? Hey, where'd he go? What's this? This video pissed me off so much, I gotta make my own on the topic. Subscribe to Periodic Pete. Did I just get clout shocked? I'll deal with him later. Look, people, there's no getting around this. Even by some slim margin, Lily isn't blatantly lying to make her point seem credible. you could wipe your asses with it entirely. She's trying to project her backwards taste in media onto a discussion that needs much more thought than this. She doesn't understand the trope or the discussion around it outside of culture war nonsense, and she doesn't care to learn more about it. Lily Orchard is one of the worst types of critics. She's smart enough to know better, but chooses not to learn. In fact, she's so adamant about all the learning she's not doing that she substitutes any good arguments with insults, straw men, and vague posting. And it's my understanding that those are bad. Sue-like characters can be fun in the right stories, just not the ones she's talking about. You see, when it comes to censoring or changing existing words, you gotta prove that it has either zero utility or causes more harm than good. Racial slurs being the textbook example. But you also have to prove why your definition is somehow better than before. That goes double for story tropes. It's how we build a better understanding of the stories we consume and teaches us what to avoid when employing them in our own writing. Over-glorifying a negative trope like the Mary Sue and ignoring all the arguments for why it should be negative is bad, actually. And I hope I've done my fair share to prove it. If not, at least you know where I'm standing. Signing off.